because I am doing, yeah, sometime early next year, because I am doing this by 20. I'm doing this like this series began by like in the beginning of November. So this session won't this series won't uh I won't upload this series until like January of next year. So that's when the Bioshock series will come out. But anyway, I'm still excited to do Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite sometime later next year. But when this comes out, it'll be by summer of next year because I switch things up. Cause I switch things up. I don't just keep on doing Bioshock 2, because that would just get boring. Same thing, like I said in my Resident Evil 4 series, was that I just don't want to keep doing Resident Evil games because it would just be too tedious and it would just be boring for me personally in my channel. So I just like to switch things up. It's like what Chuka Conway said. He doesn't want to keep doing Pokemon for his Let's Plays because it would just get really boring and tedious, and people are not gonna watch it because it's just the same thing all over again. So that's what I'm doing. I'm switching things up, is what I'm saying. So I will be doing
Man,
Bioshock sometime of early next year or mid next year, because I'm like I said, I'm gonna switch things up. But anyway, I still have a pretty good time left. I still have a half an hour left. But like I already said, I did do the downloadable content. These last three, these two are uh, time trial games, like like time trials. Sort of games is that you see how long you could complete puzzle, how long could you complete the puzzle. Like these two, the I in Team and Sgtkiller events are puzzle games. So you gotta be creative and find ways to save the little sisters. Yeah, spoilers. And Worlds of Hurt is a think of it as like Mortal Kombat. You know how Mortal Kombat or like other fighting games do that survival thing. It's either killed or be killed. You don't get no you don't get no yeah well you do get retrials, but you gotta start from the beginning again. You can't just go through in the middle and stuff. So, but yeah, there is no Vita chambers or anything like that. Well, I'll explain it. Um, I explained it in the Worlds of Hurt, so I don't want to give out too much. But anyway, I did those, and like I said, I have a little bit more time, so I will do the museum. The museum just takes about 15 minutes to do. So, welcome to the Museum of Orphan Concepts, a guide of touring of ideas, irrational games, and discarded or reworked heavily during the making of the original Bioshock. So yeah, this was just an art gallery of things to come, of things that they threw out or they redesigned. This here is the forest exhibit. Exhibit forest concept art. The Irrational's artists tried to envisage how the underwater city would actually function in this early concept work of Rapture. One idea imagined a thick forest for the purpose of oxygen exchange, since there was within excuse me observation catwalk running around the edge. A concept of using trees for oxygen exchange made it into a final game of the Arcadia level. Yeah, this was the Arcadia level. This was like in the beginning of the game. So, and over here is the this here is the original um, gatherers of Adam, as it will say here in the description. Exhibit the gatherer. It may have been hard to imagine that this creature, whose job is it to reclaim Adam from corpses around the rapture, it was the earliest iteration of the idea behind the Little Sisters, since the gatherers generated absolutely no sympathy from players. The team experimented with concept of featuring a number of animals, including the infamous dog in a wheelchair, later in a grotesque immature humanoid finally, I don't know if I said that right. A concept sketched is a deformed child. It's inspired with uh, Eureka moment responsible for the little sisters. Yeah, so basically these were supposed to be the original gatherers, but they changed that and just put little sisters in it, as it says here. So pretty creepy. If they would have put this here, then the game would have been a lot more weird as it already was. But for me, I wish they would have done that. That would have made the game a lot more difficult or more challenging to do. Because if they would have had these creatures here, then the game would have been a lot more harder to actually do and kill these creatures. See, these were they originally called the Gatherer. And over here is the model of Big Daddies. Over here is the model of the Big Daddies. Look at that. Yeah, they won't come alive. So look at that shit. Look at these Big Daddies. Oh yeah, and this should be a little bit more of a, I would say spoiler, I think. It says here. Iteration, slow perfume. Iteration's internal name for this prototype Big Daddy, verified, whom manual players with an enormous hook and fired iron barrelings from a barrel, stood for slow projectile fucked up me melee. I love how they say that. He survived long enough to become a full functional AI, but the team eventually cut him to focus on publishing the other Big Daddy types. This model later appeared in Bioshock 2 as the Rumbler, throwing the miniature turrets instead of the cannons. Yes, this is actually kind of a spoiler. These Big Daddies will be in Bioshock 2. In the next walkthrough that I'll be going over sometime throughout next year, like I already said. So once we do Bioshock 2, prepare to face these Big Daddies, and these Big Daddies are a lot more difficult to defeat, as I will get over to it once we start the next series in Bioshock. Yeah, look at that. See, they look powerful because they have those cannons. These were originally was supposed to be in here in the first original game, but they changed that. Yeah, and they replaced them with other Big Daddies and other exhibits here. There's a lot to actually go over. These are pictures of the Big Daddies. Protective concept art. The Big Daddies, originally called Protectors, were envisioned as device-suited construction workers retasked with the defense of atom gatherers. They used to construct tools and improvise weapons that looked like they were being found in undersea floor. From left to right, early concept art for these melee range slow projectile protectors. So yeah, these were originally were supposed to be Big Daddies, but they remodeled them. Yeah, that they remodeled them and then they made them look bigger. Protective concept. Alright, Big Daddy. Yeah, I already read this one already. Yeah, so all three were these were the original arts of the Big Daddies, but then they redid them as the Big Daddies we saw in the other Let's Play that we saw earlier. Oh, now this here, Jesus Lord, the Grenadier Splicer. Did I say Grenadier Splicer? This gray elephant, elephantine splicer was an early Grenadier from the same period of the development of Stitchy and Hooker. Or he was a guy who spliced to carry around giant grenades and throw them at you, says the lead artist Sean Robertson. The model was built and textured but never animated. So they were supposed to uh, use this, but they never did it because this would have been a lot more harder to do. No, yeah, this would have been a lot more harder for us to defeat or you to defeat. So that would have been a lot more fucked up, as you can say, or just a lot more difficult to actually kill. So thank God they didn't put that and made the big daddies more of the tougher enemies to defeat instead of um, instead of uh, instead of the Grenader. This mostly looks like a Resident Evil character or Resident Evil enemy. It does look like it. Imagine they would have put this in the game. Like I said, these concept arts would have been if they would have put these characters officially in the game. This game would have been a lot more weirder and a lot more difficult to actually beat. So what's this over here? Exhibit early environmental study. The location depicted here was built for this vision demo of Bioshock, a small level demonstrating several of the key elements of the game, such as the Big Daddies and the Gatherers. I don't see anything. It was just a little level design there. And what's this? Look at that. Part of the part of Rapture, another art. Neptune's Bounty concept art. This area this area appears in the Neptune's Bounty level of Bioshock, but the bodies floating in the ocean were cut late in development when their cast shadows provided too distracting from the action in the room. Yeah, so basically like the shadows in the water would have distracted you and would have made you looked out the window. So I don't know why they did that. And here, oh my god. And here, these were supposed to be the original Spider Spicers, I believe as it says here, or the Hooker. No, the Hooker. Sorry, I got that wrong. Created around the same time as the Stitchy and the Grenader, the Splicer was dubbed the Hooker because of the weapon of choice. This concept of evolved into the Spider Splicer when it was decided that Splicer models could fill any behavior role, and the Hooker model later became the Baby Jane Splicer. Yeah, so basically these were originally supposed to be. This one was supposed to be the original Spider Splicer. But look at that shit. This also looks like either a Resident Evil game or some kind of like Doom, like a Doom character. Cause look at that. It has hooks in its feet, its arms. Jesus, imagine this as a regular enemy. No way. You will never defeat that. You will never kill that. Especially the Grenader. It looks more like a Resident Evil or Doom enemy, or some kind of like Fallout, or like some kind of like Fallout enemy, or like some other game. I forgot what other game. Like a post-apocalyptic, like nuclear type enemy. The most I could think of is either Doom or Resident Evil. So, and if you go here towards our right, towards our right, yeah, to the right. This one here is the range aggressor. Look at that. Look, look like another Resident Evil, Fallout, or Doom character enemy. The Stitchy. I think that's how you say it. The Stitchy. The first splicer that was irrational created for Bioshock. Itchy was used in many early concept art demos and was fully functional in game with kinematics, hit reactions, and voice over. It took us a long time to realize he wasn't good as a model. Says lead art Sean Robertson. This is probably the worst abortion that iteration has ever made. Yeah, this was kind of a mistake to actually make due to the fact that it wouldn't fit the game. Like the enemy, the Stitchy, the Hooker, and the Grenader, it wouldn't have fit into the game because they wouldn't be fit into the plot, into like the main story, the setting of Bioshock. It would not fit in. They would not fit into here. It would not. It would not fit into here, unless they would have changed the plot, like some kind of like uh, horrible mutation, which the setting was, which was the atom. The atom made people like their genes mutate and made them into like made them creatures and becoming so aggressive. But these would have gone too far and they would not fit into Bioshock. It wouldn't. That's why they cut. That's why they cut